Good morning, folks.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
Nice to see you, Barry.
I haven't got a halo there. That's just a light shining through. I can't do anything about that.
I would have gone for a halo.
Yeah, well, yep. I could say it's a halo.
Yeah, yeah.
Good morning, welcome. I am delighted to welcome you all to our June Clubs Forum, and we are going to be looking at Government Digital ID. I'm going to work with my slides to a degree, but feel free to jump in at any stage and ask questions, etc. I haven't got any show and tells because, as you can imagine, it's sensitive information that's going through your digital ID, etc. So today we're just going to talk about what is a digital ID and how do we use it, and how do we make sure that we've got all that we need to set it up, and how do we use it, what do we use it for. So I would like you can either pop it in the chat or you can jump in and speak if it's easier, which I would prefer. That two-way conversation is my favorite way to deliver forums. So you can either do a show of hands or do reactions, etc. Who's already using MyID? Yeah, it's a handful. Yep. And who has heard of it but hasn't set it up? Yeah, there's a couple there. So there's two hands that have heard of it, but who is not too sure what it is at all? Yep, so there's a handful in there. I can't see everyone on screen either. So there's a lot of us in the room today. So who is helping others with this sort of stuff? There's a few of you in here from clubs, aren't you? So yeah, excellent. Very good. So that's what we're going to touch on today. What is digital ID? And if you've got something to add to the conversation, because I'm definitely not an expert in any of this stuff, I just know how to Google, and it's about us sharing what we know and how we use things, etc. So a government digital ID is just I like to think of it as a second step of authentication for important services like your Centrelink or your ATO, Veteran Affairs, etc. It has verified who you are. You're not just saying who you are according to your Apple ID or your Google account, etc. It proves using your passport, your driver's license, your Medicare card, who you are in Australia. And it's a secure way for you to be able to say, this is me, and you're sharing that with your either MyGov or your ATO online account or your Medicare, etc. So most of those services that I've just touched on, we actually use those through the MyGov app. So just to go over that, so MyGov basically links all of those government services into one easy to access portal. So has everyone got MyGov set up? Just a quick show. Yep. And you've linked services in there?
Yes.
Yeah. And who signs into MyGov with a username and a password? Still, quick show of hands. Okay, so the government are trying to push us off that because you can be tricked out of it, it can be compromised, etc. There is a multi-factor step in MyGov, but MyID, which is the app that we're talking about today, actually can let you into your MyGov account in a more secure environment. You can also use a passkey, which we talked about a few months back. So you can go and check that out on our YouTube channel if you missed the information about passkeys. But they are more secure ways of getting into your account because it's attached to you. So with MyID and MyGov, just breaking them out into two separate sort of entities, because there has been a fair bit of confusion around this. So MyGov is your online account to access Australian government services, and it will log you into things like your Centrelink, access your Medicare, access your ATO, etc. MyID verifies that it's you. So when you're logging into those online government services, whether it's through MyGov or through their own online portals, you can use the MyID to say, yep, this is me. It's definitely me. They've checked my driver's license. They've checked my passport. I've got X amount of strength on my identification in there, and therefore they will let me in. Any questions on that? Has that been explained okay or not quite enough? Okay, good. I'm not here to debate the rights and the wrongs of the government, okay? I know that that can be a bit of a risk with this sort of stuff, but why do we want to have a digital ID? And I think as clubs in particular, it's really important for us to be across this, because we do have a large cohort of people in our communities who are potentially being left behind and kind of having the government back turned on them, basically, if they don't have the digital skills to manage all of this. So it's really super important for people like us to get ourselves across this, and our clubs to be aware of all of these, so that we can help as many people as we possibly can to be included in the online government service space. It makes sure that you're accessing your government accounts, no one else's. It's much faster once it's all set up. I know that can be a bit of an oxymoron with government websites being faster and easier, but it does. Once you've got it all set up, it makes getting in and out of those accounts much, much easier for us. And it can help protect against fraud and identity theft. So we're trusting the government to keep it all safe for us. And it reduces the risk of us having to send your identification documents to verify who you are to separate government entities. So if anyone has set up for NDIS and all of those sorts of My Aged Care and all of that sort of stuff, this is the easiest way for you to jump in and have access to all of that information for you, as well as your health records and so forth with MyGov. Any questions on that side of it? No? Okay. Some of you have set this up, some haven't. So when you are in the space and ready to set it up, you need to put aside a good half hour to an hour, depending on how confident you are with technology. And you need to have a smartphone or a tablet. I don't think you can set this up on a desktop or a laptop computer. I could be wrong. But to get the strongest version of your ID, you do need to have a camera on your device that can sort of track your depth of your face and your measurements, etc. You'll need to have an email address that you can connect your account to, which I think most of you are in that space. And you need to have your identity documents there ready to go. And of course, you need an internet connection. When we're talking ID strength in MyID, the basic strength of it, you tell them who you are with your personal details, which are things like your date of birth, your name, your email address, and your phone number. The standard strength of identity verification in this app, you need to then verify with your standard 100 points of ID, like you would go into the bank and you'd give them your driver's license and your Medicare card and your passport maybe, and that's overkill. But the more you've got, the better it is. A lot of people set this up in that first wave in 2021-ish, when it was becoming critical for us all to get onto like your state government service apps so that you could download your COVID certificates, etc. And well, that's how it panned out over here in the West. And it was really difficult to get verified because a lot of people's Medicare records were all filled out pen and paper back in the 80s when it came out. And so I had one fellow that I helped. It took us 3 hours to get him verified because it kept rejecting his Medicare card, because for the last 40 years, his date of birth had been written down as 1943 instead of 1948 because somebody transcribed it wrong. So the ID check that it does, so the MyID app trots back to the government department that holds that identity record and verifies it against what you're putting in there. So his didn't work because Medicare had his details wrong for 40 years. So that it was a good way of an audit for the government. And I do wonder whether this is what's happening, is that they're sort of pushing everyone in there. Look, for people like me, this makes life easy. I live remote, so it's very easy for me to do business with government services because we don't have agencies or bricks and mortar. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, because I think a lot of you live in large metro areas, well, larger than where I live, that's for sure. And you are seeing a reduction of bricks and mortar government services. So is there a Medicare office near you? Yes? Yeah.
There's not one near me. Away from me.
Yeah, I haven't had a Medicare office in my town for almost 30 years. The Centrelink, if there's Centrelink in your town, that's good. We have an access point, but that's about it in the community I live in. So it makes doing business with government a lot easier for someone like me. I quite enjoy it. The standard is the 100 points of ID. Basically, a passport, a driver's license, a Medicare card. I think there's a list of the ID that you need on. I'll share some links with you today. I'll pop them in the chat. I'll show you the websites in a minute that you can go and can get you ready before you're ready to start setting all of this up. Now, to get to the strong, I think when you're dealing with ATO, they require you to have strong level of ID verification, and that needs to have the verification against your driver's license or passport or Medicare with a live photo check. So what it does is you will hold your device in front of your face. I can't even see where I am on there if I'm doing that right. So if you can see my hand, the camera will be in front of your face, and you just need to stand there in the circle of it, and it will take some biometrics, and it will check back with the data that the government have on file for you to make sure that it's definitely you that has set this account up, and it's not just somebody that's got all your identity documents. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Question, if I can. So
Sure.
I can remember setting it up, and I used a passport that's now expired, and I have a new passport, and the photo is 10 years newer than the old one. Does that change anything, or how does that? So the live photo thing was, I thought, linked to the image that was used for the previous. So
when you have your passports taken, I'm not sure how many biometrics they track, but I'm pretty sure that the photo that you send in would give you a few data points, and that live photo tracks all of those to verify against the images that they've got of. So on a really crude, gross generalization, you know how in your Photos app you can identify photos of someone in particular?
Yes. Yep.
And so it works off that.
Okay.
It's going, yep, these data points, yep, that's 99% sure that it's the right person.
It's sort of across the band of your eyes, so it's mapping that area. I know that in one state, when we had COVID and we were wearing masks, we had the option to be able to have ourselves identified wearing masks, wearing glasses, not wearing glasses. And so it's really around the eyes that it's doing the biometric measurements.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
So all of those data points is what it's checking on to see whether you are the right person to be doing this. So that's when it's at its strongest, that's when it's verified that it's you that has set it up, and that the biometrics on your phone or iPad, so fingerprint, facial recognition to unlock, is what gives you access to it. So long as you haven't given your passcode out on your device, it's pretty secure on there. So, yeah. There is a website that explains exactly what it is. So if you wanted to do a bit more of your own research, or if you needed some help, you can use this. So what I'll do is I'll put this into the chat panel. So let me know if you can't get that link, and then I will put it in an email out to everyone. This is a really useful website for reference points for yourselves. And again, do your research into here. Now, look, every time you put stuff online, there's always going to be a risk, but the government are vested in making sure that your data is they are already holding this data. They're just attaching it to your device so that you've got access to it. This brings us to the MyID site. Now, because I've already verified on my smartphone, I can use this site online on a desktop or a laptop. However, to set it up, I think you do need to have it on a mobile device with that front-facing camera so that you can get that sorted. And again, there's a bunch of resources in the actual MyID website, so I will pop that in the chat for you as well if anyone hasn't found it. But if you don't get those, a quick Google for MyID Australian Government and just check that you're getting the Australian Government logo, etc. on there. So there's a whole bunch of information on there and how to set it up, etc. How to increase your strength. Basically, all the things that we're talking about today can be found in articles here. So they're very vested in making sure that this is secure and safe for everyone to use. The other thing I wanted to show you, well, there did used to be a digital ID that Australia Post made, but when I was doing my research to put this session together, they've now closed that digital ID app. So we don't need to worry about that anymore. So that's a good thing, because they were doing something similar so that when you went to the post office, you could show your digital ID, etc. But now I think they are not doing that anymore. So coming to the ATO in particular, I'm not sure if this is of interest to anyone, but the ATO has an online services simulator, and that's a really handy one that you can test if you want to test out whether the online portal for this is good or not. You don't need to use your MyID to jump in there, but it's a really useful tool so that you can get in and test things. And of course, there's an error when I'm trying to show everyone. Because it's live, they might be down for maintenance, so we might just forget about that one. Yes, Annette.
A question. Once, if you do your digital ID and put in your passport, your driver's license,
yep.
When you have to renew your license or your passport, I've got a feeling the number will change.
So passports, yes, your numbers change each iteration, but you've already verified who you are through the MyID app. So the only issue might be when you change device rather than passport, because your identity is not going to change, just the number attached to you. And if you renew your passport, because this tracked back to the government ID, I think it can it's already verified who you are, so you don't need to do it again. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The only issue will be if you get a new phone and you set that up and you haven't made sure that your MyID can be signed in on that new device, there might be some issues there. So before you wipe the original device, just check that your codes are working on your MyID on your new device. Does anyone use Microsoft's Authenticator? No? Yeah, so Microsoft Authenticator definitely is a giant pain in the backside when you're moving over to a new device, because you have to re-authenticate using that, because they don't store that data in the cloud, whereas I use other authentication apps that I can back up into my cloud in a secure encrypted spot, and those will come across on the new device, but the Microsoft ones won't. So just keep, and I think MyID is a little bit similar to that, so just keep that in mind. Any other questions? No? Very good. So the best practice is making sure that your device has a super good PIN and you don't share it with everyone else, because this helps keep your information safe. Generally, it's your biometrics that will unlock it, but sometimes if your face doesn't unlock it the first two goes, it'll push for your device PIN. So making sure that you don't give that to anyone else, or if you are sharing with your partner, that you're trusting of each other, etc., because once they're into that, they've got access to all sorts of things. the other trick, and I know a lot of people avoid keeping devices updated, but that is super critical because updates to your operating system come in to patch potential loopholes, etc. So making sure that those are updated so that all of those little holes in the wall are plugged is really important. Don't share any verification codes that you get. If you receive a MyID verification code and you haven't done it, you don't give it to anyone. So that's the super important one. Don't give those out. If you are downloading the MyID app, make sure it's only downloaded from the Google Play Store in Android devices and the Apple App Store. And be very wary of people asking you to verify your identity with your MyID app as well. So who uses any of those? Feel free to jump in and shout out. Anyone not using any of those probably will be the better question. No, everyone's doing good things with their, making sure that they're doing all the right things with their devices. Excellent. That's what I like to see. Annette, you have your hand up.
Yes, sorry.
That's okay.
Another question.
Yep.
Do you go into MyGov or do you go into, you set up the app through the apps thing on your phone?
So MyID is a separate app and its primary purpose is to verify your identity against the records that the government holds of you. So things like your driver's license, your passport, Medicare, Veteran Affairs card, etc. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So that is basically you've verified who you are using that particular app. Now you can use that to verify who you are in MyGov, which is your online. Think of MyGov as kind of like a little marketplace for all your government services. And you can link in things like Medicare, Veteran Affairs, Centrelink, ATO, etc. in that one little spot. But each of those sites, each of those government services have their own website and own online access. So instead of having to log into each of them individually, you can go into MyGov and see them all in there. Does that help?
Is that what it looks like?
Yes, that's it. MyID, Australian government. So when you're in the App Store, let me just check mine to verify, but when you go to app stores, it will often give you the developer's name underneath the name of the app. And with MyID, it should say Australian government, but let me just verify that. Yes, so MyID, Australian government, and yes, so the developer is the Australian Taxation Office. I'm not sure if anyone can see that. Oh, sorry, backgrounds are not good. Can you see where it says Australian Taxation Office? So the ATO look after that one. So that says the developer is the Australian Taxation Office. I'm assuming that the Google Play Store, I don't have an Android device on me today, but I'm assuming that that would say the same thing. So you just need to make sure that the developers are those government organisations. So with Apple, it's less likely to be able to download the wrong app, whereas Android's a bit more open source, so you can actually be putting the wrong, like they're very good at making them look like that. So definitely only go to the Google Play Store. Yeah. Does anyone else have any questions about downloading the apps or anything on there? No? Okay, good. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was the state and territory service apps. Who is using those? Yeah. So ours is Service WA. There's because they've all got slightly different names, of course, because we can't all be the same in this big country of ours. So here we go. We've got state and territory digital licenses and services apps. So I believe that New South Wales already has digital driver's licenses. Is that correct? Yep. Does Queensland have the same? Have we got any Queenslanders in the room? Yeah, I'm not certain. WA is not quite there yet. But those are the icons for each of the apps that relate to the services and to the states and territories around Australia. So digital driver's license, Service New South Wales, MySA.gov, Service Victoria, Queensland Digital License, Service WA, My Service Tas, NT Rego, and ACT Government Digital Account. Now, in those, they will link you. They act like your MyGov, but for your state government services rather than your federal government services. For example, here in WA, I'm pretty sure it's our Premier is splashing a bit of cash around. So on the 1st of July, we all get $100. Whoever's got a driver's license gets $100 towards fuel. So that's how we will access this. We have had there's a tree bait. If anyone's heard of a tree bait over here, trying to encourage people to plant native trees on their properties. So you can apply for $150 to get a tree bait. That's how you would access that. So any state government programs, and I can't speak for all of them, but I'm assuming it's similar. We also have the Fuel Watch in WA, so we can look in there on a map and see what the average fuel prices or what each particular service station is charging for fuel that day or the next day. So it's particularly good if you're doing a road trip and you're sort of trying to decide whether you're stopping in one town or the other to fuel up. You can make an informed decision on which one's going to save you a few dollars. So does anyone have any questions on this one in particular? No? Okay. And then those are the resources. Oh, my words are all mixed up there. Sorry. So those are the resources. I will share those with you all again. I do want to show you the Be Connected resources. I was a little bit, I did think they had MyID stuff in there, but it's pretty much all the MyGov and the service apps. So I'll just go and grab those for you, and I'll show you if you're wanting to put together things for your club. So in here, I'm in the browse content section. For those of you who are not familiar with Be Connected, there are a lot of topics on here, and they are, so the topic library has got a lot of bits and pieces in here. So it can be anything from online safety, etc. But in this in particular, we're looking at the online courses for each of the state and territory service apps. So you can find all of them in one spot here. And that will help you. They're nice little bite-sized pieces of information. So for example, I'm in WA, so that's where I'm going to go. And this shows me a few little, so there's a 4-minute session, a 4-minute session, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. There's claiming rebates and lost superannuation, discovering any money that you might have forgotten that you had in bank accounts in days gone by, etc. So that's the FIDO service that it links us to. So it can go and search for any super funds that we set up when we were teenagers and we've forgotten about, or anything like that. Those are really handy for you to work through yourself if that's where you're at, or if you're supporting other people, then there's some great resources in here for you to be able to use to help other people. They also have the Intro to MyGov topic in here, and so each of the courses are talking through all of those bits and pieces for you. So if anyone has got any questions on those. Is anyone supporting people or using the service apps in your own state? Yeah. And are they useful?
Yes.
Yeah.
The topics can be accessible in a classroom situation if you want, but they can also be accessed individually at home. We find that people are more successful with using it in a collaborative group because they often don't have the perseverance to follow through. If they're doing any searching and they want to do it on a phone or tablet, or they can go into the filters down the side, and then the topics will be filtered to their particular device, and that's a better way to go rather than have the whole bunch of things together.
Yeah. So for those of you who aren't attached to clubs, if you're looking for clubs, then let us know. We have a lot in New South Wales. There's a handful around the rest of the country, but I'm sure we can hook you up with somebody who might be able to help. Or you're welcome to start up a little group yourself and make it a coffee date and get 3 or 4 of you sitting there going through the MyGov stuff on your tablet and just sit and go through it methodically. Because like Barry said, it's all well and good to say, there's the resources, go home and do your homework. It's more fun when there's other people to talk to, if you're anything like me. So, yeah. And that brings me to the end of all of that. So is there anything anyone else wants to bring to that? Or if there's any more questions, or if you want me to go over anything? Yes, David.
Just the different strengths of ID there. So does that just mean that it gives you more options or access to things, and it's less access if you do less strong ID? Is that how it works?
So in my experience, from my perspective, I use the tax office stuff a fair bit because I run a small business. So having the strong strength to get into my ATO stuff is super important. So there's some things I can't do in the ATO portal if I don't have the strong strength of verification. So the other thing is, when I was signing into MyGov and then going to deal with my BAS from there through the ATO, and it wouldn't let me continue on. And it turns out it's because I still had my password turned on in MyGov. So I could get into MyGov using my username and password and then a code to my phone. That's not strong enough for the ATO. They want you to turn your MyGov password off because that's a stronger way for me to get in. Now that I've turned that off and I just use my passkey or my digital ID to get in, so there's 2 options there, that will then let me into my ATO portal from MyGov. Otherwise, I was having to go into ATO and log into their online using the MyID app, and so it's a bit confusing because there's so many moving pieces in it, and it's, from my perspective, it's been trial and error. I was like, I've got the strongest MyID and it still wouldn't let me in from MyGov. So, but it was because my password was still turned on. So, yeah.
This is where trial and error comes in so well, and the advantage of having a group of people together where someone's had that experience and can pass it on.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Yeah. Excellent. Richard, you have your hand up and I have muted you, so please take your mic off mute and fire away.
Good.
I've got you next, Julie. Yep.
Natika, could you just tell me again, how do I know when I'm in an official app store?
So are you on an Apple phone or an Android phone?
An Android.
Okay, so you would look for the Google Play Store.
Good. Thanks very much.
You're welcome. Julie, you're next.
Right, I'm multitasking.
Yes, good.
So I'm trying to do the MyID.
Yep.
And I'm actually, then it says it can't verify my details. Now, I probably do need to go to the safe and get my passport out.
Yep.
Because I've got a number. But what if it, and then it says you've got a number of attempts remaining. So
yes. So if you
what happens if you keep stuffing up?
Yeah, you're going to have to call them. And so that's a sit on hold and go through the steps. Because I don't know if you were in earlier, I talked about one of the gentlemen that I helped a few years back. His Medicare records were incorrectly transcribed, and so Medicare were rejecting his Medicare card as a verified source of ID because he was putting in his date of birth wrong according to them. But
so what's the number to call?
I will have to look that up. Hang on. I will put that in the chat for you and
Okay.
let you know. Or if you go to the MyID, let me just have a look at the MyID website.
Julie, if you want to get the strong thing, definitely go and get your passport out of your wherever you keep it safe.
I know.
And have that and your Medicare and your driver's license. If you've got those three, you'll get to the strong point.
I mean, I've got two of them, and I thought I had the passport correct, but I do need to double check that one.
Yeah. So the general support, there is a phone number. If you could grab your pens and I'll read it out. But you can find this on the contact us at the bottom of the myid.gov.au website. The phone number is 1300 287 539. And then you'll need to select option 2 and then option 1 for MyID inquiries.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that operates from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Australian local time, Monday to Friday. So I don't know what local time means. I'm assuming in your area. So
yep.
Yeah. So just keep an eye on that one. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Annette.
Yes. Look, it says signing into MyGov using your digital ID. And you go through the steps and it says you get a code, a 4-digit code, and then you log into your MyID app. I haven't set up a login.
No, so that's what you need to do first. You need to set up the MyID app. So you'll need to have your email address. You'll need to have, obviously, your name, your email address, and then you'll get a basic one with your name. I think you put your date of birth, your phone number and your email address. That gives you basic strength because you've said who you are and you've given some of your personal details. To get to standard, you need to then verify with government identification documents. Now, in Western Australia, I've got an online account for Department of Transport and I can lock my driver's license. So nobody can use my driver's license to verify their identity if it's locked. So I have to physically log in, unlock that, let it verify me, and then when it's verified, I go back and lock it again. Do any other states or territories give you the capacity? No, I thought that we were the only ones that did that. But that came off the back of the Optus and Medibank data breaches because people had to be reissued driver's license numbers, etc. So keep that in mind if you're in Western Australia and using that verification. So so once you've gone in and set up and used your government issued ID to verify who you are with MyID, then you would have a standard strength. And then to go to the strongest strength, you need to use your device to zip around your face and check that it matches up with who you are on your driver's license photo and your passport photo. And then that app is set up for you and you get into that app using your email address and you sign in. So then once you've verified that app sits on your phone. If you then go to MyGov to sign in and you choose to use your digital ID, you put in the email address associated with your MyID app and it will send a notification to that service that you've signed up for in that app, and it will give you a code on the MyGov website that you then go to your MyID and it will have a spot for you to enter that 4-digit code. And then when that's been put in, you go back to MyGov and it will open the door and let you in. Does that make sense? Yeah, there's a little bit there, but yeah. So you do need to practice flicking between apps easily if you're doing it all on your phone, or you can sign into MyGov on a desktop or a laptop or a tablet and then just use your phone for that authentication code so you're not having to flick between apps on your phone if that's challenging. Okay. All right, Richard, unmute and fire away.
In the past month, I've bought my first smartphone. It does have a camera in it. It cost a few $100s. It's a Samsung. Will that be able to take my photo?
Certainly will. Yep.
For identification purposes.
Yes. Yep.
Thanks.
It doesn't actually take a photo. What it does is you hold it up and you can see yourself in there like you're taking a selfie, but it just goes all these colours and lines while it's mapping your face, and then it goes, yep, we're done, thanks. So,
thank you.
And then that's okay. Richard, you don't have to tell me street and everything, but whereabouts are you? What sort of region are you in?
I'm in Melbourne.
Okay, so I'm not sure. I know we have the Apple User Society of Melbourne down there, but I'm not sure if I'll see if we can find any of our members around Melbourne that might be able to help if you want some help.
Yep. Thanks, Nikita.
Okay, no worries. Thanks, Richard. Anyone else got any questions? No? Awesome. All right. Well, you can have an early mark again unless there's anything else anyone wants to chat about.
Sorry, I was multitasking while great presentation. Thank you. Really useful. I was multitasking and I noticed that my 1-800 Medicare app on my phone told me that this needs to be reapproved or something. So it was a really quick exercise. It asked me for a MyID. Well, I got the option to choose MyID, put in my email that was linked to it, and then open and it was asking for a 4-digit code. So to sort of go from one app to the other I could even remember the 4 digits, but that was quite useful. And now I can log in with biometrics. So that's sort of a real-time practical test. And I think it'll lock in my memory, having heard your presentation and tips and having done it, albeit taking away from my full attention, I think it's cemented that in there now. I feel, that's how it works.
Yeah, and remembering those 4-digit codes, think of that as mental weightlifting.
Yes.
Improving our cognitive functions.
Absolutely.
Very good. Yeah, excellent. Annette, you've got your hand.
Look, I've realised that I had already set up my ID, but it was on basic. I've put in strong now. And I've gone to to get into MyGov, you have to put your password in.
Yes.
I'm not sure what my password is for my ID, and it doesn't come up with forgotten or.
So my ID, I don't know that let me just check. I haven't used mine for a couple of days.
Nikita, thank you very much. I have to leave. I appreciate all your help. Thank you.
No worries, Julie.
Bye.
Okay, thank you. See you next time. I don't have to put a password in, but I do use my password manager on my phone. So I'm not sure. There is a password. So mine would be my password manager. I highly recommend if you're on Apple, use the native password manager app. If you're on Android, Google Password, if you can lock your Google account safely and securely and have your master password written down somewhere safe. So, Annette, whereabouts are you? What sort of state? And
Victoria.
Victoria. Okay, and you Apple or Android?
Apple. So
so we could put you in touch with Awesome, and somebody there might be able to help you at their club. So so AUSOM is Awesome, Apple User Society of Melbourne. So they run.
Right.
Yeah. So
there's
if you can...
a phone number I've got on screen there for Awesome. It is 4211 26175.
Lovely, thanks, Barry. So if you just give them a call and tell them that we've recommended you get in touch, they might be able to offer you some support.
Okay.
Excellent.
Susan Jenkins is the president down there, but I don't know who the secretary might be.
Yeah. So just mention to Susan that you've been chatting with Barry and myself, and we suggested you reach out. Excellent. Anything else from anyone?
You've done a really good job there today, Natika,
Yeah.
given that you're flying solo.
Thanks, Barry. Yeah, and one screen too. Oh my goodness. You get spoilt when you have more than one screen at your home office, isn't it?
Just
And then
just
done
just
well
a
on a
comment if I
tablet.
oh, sorry.
so, yeah, very good. All right. Thanks, everyone. Oh,
Okay.
Stephen,
All right.
yes.
Oh,
Cheers,
just a
all.
comment if I can. I think the cameras. So I've got a laptop that's, I don't know, 3-4 years old. But doing e-visas nowadays, it's a matter of holding your passport up in front of the camera, and it is surprisingly easy and accurate, and also a bit scary how much information it can
Yeah.
get with what looks like a bit of a, it's moving it and trying to line it up, but it got everything off the passport, and it makes sort of doing e-visas or a whole range of authentication stuff, I guess, easier. And that seems to be the way things are headed increasingly.
Yeah, the only warning I'd put with e-visas is doing your research and making sure that you're on
Smart
the
Traveller.
legitimate
Yep.
government websites for
Yeah.
foreign countries, because that's one of the biggest risks, is that if you're putting all this data in that is government verifiable, etc., into those nefarious type sites, that's a bit of a risk. But yeah, just do your research and make sure that you're going to the legit sites. Yeah.
So I think the quick tip there is I always go through Smart Traveller, the Australian
Perfect.
government, and that has all the official links, but it is scary, on different Facebook groups, people are getting scammed. You don't just Google apply for e-visa for whatever country. It's going through Smart Traveller and
verified sites is definitely the way to go. Yeah.
And is that something for a
Using Smart
future
Traveller is a
session?
great
Just
idea.
yeah, I mean, is that something for a future session? Just that sort of applying for e-visas and Smart Traveller and that, being really cautious about it, because pre-arrival cards now are just pretty much standard for every country. E-visas are increasingly common, and Googling either is going to get people in a whole lot of trouble, as opposed to Smart Traveller.
Well, that's a good point. Thanks, Stephen. I'll put that on our list. I have scheduled July and August, and Deborah is running on alternate fortnights now. So you've got access to 2 clubs forums, one with me and one with Deborah each month. So the next one is on the 8th of July, and Deborah's hosting that, and that's all about Android. So if anyone's an Android user and has questions, then feel free. We're changing how you register as of next month, and you'll be needing to go to our Humanities site. So there is a single link that we'll be putting up, and you should be able to see all of the clubs forums that are coming up in that one link. But if not, it's on our calendar on our website. Next month for me, which is the 4th Wednesday, which is I think the 22nd of July or something. Don't quote me on it. Yes, it's around the 20s. We are focusing on digital health and wellbeing apps. So tracking bits and pieces and stuff like that. So yeah. And then I've got another one in August for making gifts with Canva. So a little bit of fun stuff. Deborah's one in August is going to be all about Windows 11, I think. So it's just a general Q&A. Yeah, not necessarily full presentation, but it's open forum, so anyone can have a chat. So if you know anyone who's not near a club and they just want to have a chit chat about those bits and pieces, that's how you can do that. So
the one on Canva will be very interesting, because we're coming to grips with it.
Yeah, I love Canva. It's amazing. I've made all sorts of like I make business cards, I make posters, social media posts. You can create reels, videos. I do my presentations in Canva now, because there's a lot more creative options in there than the stock standard. So yeah, it's really good. But you can, they print things as well. So that's what we'll be looking at, how to make some. If you're going on a family holiday, you can make matching T-shirts with embarrassing photographs of your family on them or something like that. So yeah, that'll be a fun one that we're doing. So not so treacherous. All right, thanks all.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy
Enjoyable.
winter
Thank
days
you.
while I'm sweating in 24 degrees today.
Oh, poor you. Thank you. That was great.
Thanks all. See
Bye.
ya. Bye.